Okay, in this video we're going to do our review exercise 13. This one, there's some, first of all, I'll do this first. At the bottom we have some questions about t-distributions in general. The t-distributions look very much like what other kind of distribution? And B, what is the mean of a t-distribution? And approximately what is the standard deviation of a t-distribution? Kind of answer those about t-distributions in general. And then the first set of 5 questions are probabilities and inverse probabilities from a specific t-distribution which has 19 degrees of freedom. Round those final answers to 5 decimal places. Work all of these out and then come back. Press pause now. Well, all the t-distributions, their graph looks very much like a standard normal graph. The t-CDF looks like a standard normal CDF. The t-PDF looks like a standard normal PDF. What is the mean of the t-distribution? The same as it is for a standard normal, 0. What's the standard deviation of a t-distribution? Well, it's not 1 like a standard normal, but it's a little bigger than 1, but not a lot bigger. So it's a slightly larger than 1. And in fact, the bigger the sample, the degrees of freedom get, then the closer the t gets to the normal distribution, and the closer that standard deviation does get to 1. Now, to do some probabilities, we use a t-CDF. Let me actually just show you this on the calculator. And so, if I want to do that, that is under here, t-CDF number 6, and we want to go from forever left up to 1.25. Actually, the t-CDFs, if you'll just use negative 100 in place of negative infinity and 100 for infinity, that works. So we're going to go from negative 100 to 1.25. That'll be good enough. And we give it the degrees of freedom, which in this case is 19. And plug that in, and voila, there's our answer. If we want to do the probability bigger than 1, we do a t-CDF from 1 to infinity, so I'll use 100. Again, 19 degrees of freedom. There's that one. And between negative 0.5 and 1.4, I can just say second enter, pull that up. Change this first lower one to what? Negative 0.5, and the upper one to 1.4, inserted that, and then degrees of freedom, which is 19. There's that probability. Now the next one is inverse t, and for, at least if your calculator's relatively new enough, even not the newest operating system, but most of all the TI-84s, if you'll do an inverse t, you put in the probability to the left, which on D is 0.01. And you have to give it its degrees of freedom to tell it which t you're just talking about. And then paste that, and that gives us the probability there. Actually, no. The probability is what we gave it. That gives us the t value, or x value, on the t-distribution. The next one's a probability to the right, so we have to adjust that. So when we do our inverse t this time, we want to give it not the 0.05, but 1 minus 0.05 is what we put in. Or if you want to do that in your head as just 0.95, that will work. And then we give it, of course, the degrees of freedom, which was 19 here again. And that gives us the probability. That gives us the t value for that probability. So 95% of probability to the left, 5% to the right. The x value or t value is right there. All right, so there's some basic properties of t-distributions along with some basic calculations with t-distributions.